Hello, everybody, and welcome to the first episode of Hello Healing, where self-care, therapy, and faith meet. How y'all doing? I am so excited for you to be here. Listen, if this is your first time meeting me, hey, how you doing, cousin? We are family now. So I am Dr. Radisha Brown. I am a licensed therapist and breakup coach, and I help couples and individuals figure out their relationship futures. And so I created this podcast specifically for women, especially Black women, because we face all levels of trauma and heartbreak and all kinds of things happening. And it's so important that we focus on our mental wellness as we achieve success in our professional lives, in work and business and entrepreneurs and education levels. Like I'm telling you, Black women are doing their thing. But it's also important that we focus on our mental health as we climb the corporate ladder and find achievements. And so this year, 2022, is all about us finding our true selves, finding the things that make us happy, getting back in touch with our desires and our hopes and our dreams. And so part of this vision I had for the show is providing not only myself, but two additional dope therapists to come on to talk every week about those real issues that we face every day, right? And so we put the show at 9 o'clock because some of the things may be a little bit uncomfortable to discuss. Like tonight, we're going to be talking about orgasms and sexual trauma. And so we recognize that those things may trigger you or sometimes may make you uncomfortable. But our goal is to provide you education and to inspire you on your healing journey. Listen, we all have faced obstacles in our lives. We've all faced different levels of trauma. But we cannot heal unless we acknowledge these things have happened. And so our commitment to you is that we're going to talk about tough stuff. We're going to talk about things that may feel uncomfortable, because I promise you, even if it's not you experiencing it, I guarantee you someone in your life, someone on your friends list is going through this exact same situation. And so I'm so excited that you decided to tune in tonight. And I really hope this is informational for you and inspirational as well. I cannot wait to introduce my co-hosts because they are dope at what they do. But I think it's important that you know who's taking this journey with you. So a little bit about me. As I mentioned, I'm a licensed therapist. I am the best-selling author of Girl, Get Off the Couch. And so in my book, I talk about my own trauma, my own journey, being a child of a addict. My mom was addicted to drugs and alcohol, and my grandmother raised us until she unexpectedly died at the age of 11. And so I wound up in foster care. So I am a foster kid. And so you talk about living through childhood trauma. I've written a book about it because I experienced it. And so when I work with clients about their lives and their journey, I'm coming to it not only from a perspective of professional, but also a personal perspective. I've survived divorce, and I say survived because if you've been through divorce, it is a process, and doing my journey. And so part of our journey is not only helping clients, but also recognizing issues in our own lives and having that courage to face them, right? And so for me, I knew I was healing when I no longer ran my life according to pleasing others, when I could really get in touch with my own wants, needs, and desires and be okay with that, not feel guilty about providing myself self-care and really understanding the things that are best for me and versus the people in my life. So, understand that we are all in this fight together, and I am my sister's keeper, right? And so we encourage you to join us along the journey, to provide comments and questions below, but more importantly, to share this broadcast because I promise you there's somebody going through the exact same situation we're going to be talking about. All right, enough about me. Let me get my amazing co-host on the up on the screen here. And so the first co-host I want to introduce, her name is Kresence, my girl Kresence Campbell, representing, coming through. Let me just go on and add her to the screen. Hey, girl.
Hey, Dr. Radisha. Hey, everybody. How are you?
I am really excited. Let me tell you a little bit about this sister. I call her my what I call you. I say we're connected at some way in the universe, because I promise you I met her. I felt like I've known her my entire life. But I really wanted her to be a part of this show, not only because she's a dope therapist, but she has a unique perspective. She's an island girl, a first generational American, right? Immigrant for her family. And so that's a really important perspective. So although we're all licensed therapists, we have our own unique approach to therapy, and we bring about our own experience and our own culture. And so that's what she brings to the table. So tell the folks a little bit about you, girl.
Hey everybody, I am Kresence Campbell, licensed professional counselor providing services to residents of Pennsylvania and Connecticut. I am a self-proclaimed self-care expert. I found throughout the years that with Black women, a lot of us don't really know what self-care is, and we look at self-care with a lens of selfishness because that's what we were taught. And in my own life, it came to a crucial point where it was life or death, and I had no choice but to figure out what my self-care was. I had a doctor tell me it's not just drinking smoothies and running, it's inside out and everything. And that's when I said, you know what? I want to spread the word. I want other Black women to understand this. But also, I love working with teens and youth as well. I struggled with mental health as a teenager. And I kind of want to spread the word and make this something that's not so much of a taboo topic. You know, being an island girl, my family is from Jamaica, first generation. And if you were to say, you know, I'm depressed, it's go drink some tea, you'll be okay. All right, well, the gas is gone, but the depression is still here. And we need to talk about these conversations. We need to start healing these
Right.
generations so the next generations do better. I am the owner of Poly Street Counseling Wellness Services. Currently, we provide all services virtually. We work with men, women, and children, ages 18 to 65. I'm a wife, I'm a mom, I'm a sister, I'm a friend, I'm a cousin. Family is everything to me. I come from a very, very tight knit West Indian family, and I also have family that's not blood family that I'm tight with, because family is not who you're born with, but who you make it.
Right.
And I just want women to feel empowered and loved. So many times we walk around taking care of everybody else, and we don't focus on ourselves, and we lose ourselves. And I have a daughter, and she needs to see that mommy loves herself so she can know what love is for her own self when she
Mhm.
becomes my age. Breaking these cycles, no more generational curses as long as I am around.
Absolutely, girl. Amen, amen, and amen. That's why, yes, yes,
Amen.
amen. So tell the people, how did you, as professionals, but also through our own personal stories, we've all experienced different levels of traumas, obstacles in our lives. So how did you know you were healing in your journey?
I knew I was healing when I was expressing myself and not having any regret, not doubling back, not having any strong emotional reaction to it, just kind of feeling like, I'm okay. When things were less triggering, because things, I personally believe you're never not going to be triggered by something. But when you're not as triggered as you were before, that's how I knew I was healing. When somebody would call me and tell me how they felt about something, and my response was, okay, well, thank you for letting me know how you felt about that. And I wasn't cussing, screaming, yelling, and wanting to go to somebody's house and bang down the door. That's how I know it's healing. When I was more in control of my emotions and wasn't focused on controlling the other person, that's how I knew I was healing.
Absolutely, absolutely. And I'm so excited you are here. I love you, love you, love you. Hey, and hey guys, and if you don't follow her on Instagram, she has some of the amazing videos. Listen, what I love about your videos, you're gonna give it real, 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 right? You have one baby crying on one hip, frustrated. You like, I'm trying to run a business, your husband in the background. You like, this is what life really looks like, right? We're not about sugarcoating anything, we about showing people what real life is and how to heal. And so thank you so much for being a part of this podcast. And so, last but not least, let me bring in Shuntoya Chatman to the screen. Hey, girl. Oh, okay, there we go.
Hello.
We're gonna get it together. Hey, welcome to the show. Let me tell you guys a little bit about Shuntoya. We used to work together, so I know her in multiple ways, right? And so
Correct.
I always enjoyed her personality and all her. Also, she's a Christian focused counselor, and she's going to give it to you straight, no chaser. She is a Southern Belle, as I call it, born and raised in the country, and showing the way for the folks from the country like myself, right, and showing us our way towards healing. And so I'm really excited for her to join us in this series. So because she has a unique perspective, and it's important that you guys see that although we're all professionals, we're all women of Black women, we're all women of faith, we have unique perspectives about healing and how we help our clients heal. And so there's no one size fits all to healing. And so Shuntoya brings her perspective. And so Shuntoya, tell the people a little bit about you.
Hi, again, my name is Shuntoya Chatman. I am a licensed clinical social worker, licensed in Georgia as well as South Carolina. I have been in private practice now for 5 years. I'm the owner of Holistic Counseling Services. So, just like my beautiful co host Crescent said, I am also telehealth, virtual services only. And I work with people from all walks of life with various situations, concerns, issues that they're experiencing. Because I love to quote Ayana, and she says, "Life happens to everyone." That's my favorite quote, which is true. We can't stop life. Life is going to continue. And so I'm here to help people reclaim who they are, to figure out their identity, and also just to release some things that has really been kept within and not shared. And I tell people all the time, your words have healing. They have healing powers.
Absolutely, absolutely. And as professionals, we have all experienced our own struggles and journeys and obstacles in life. So tell the people, how did you recognize you were healing?
I recognize I was healing because I was able to release guilt concerning situations I had no control over.
Right,
And, I have been pretty vocal about some of the losses that I've experienced in my adult life. And who is ever prepared for loss, for
right.
grief? And so I feel like that's my niche. That's the area that I feel that I can connect with people, because we must face it. We was never taught, what does grief look like? How do I mourn? How do I do it in a way that it doesn't take me and take away everything that I have gained, in this journey of life. So that's kind of where I'm at, learning how to release guilt over things I cannot control.
Amen and amen and amen. All right. Thank you so much. All right. Let's get it popping. And so, everybody, this is your panel for Hello Healing. We are focused on helping you heal and talking about real issues. And so, tonight we're going to be talking about reclaiming your orgasm after sexual trauma, which is really important topic because 1 out of 3 women face sexual trauma in their lifetime, right? So, I want you guys to think about 3 women that you're really close with: your cousin, your best friend, your sister, your coworker, your church member. Chances are 1 out of those 3 women that you're thinking about has experienced some level of sexual trauma in their life. And so, even if you're not the one that has experienced sexual trauma, you will learn something during this conversation, because most often that your friend, your cousin, your family member will disclose the information well before they ever see a therapist. Like, all of us are therapists, and we understand that many people don't come to us first, right? We're last on the list of choices that they make in their life. They're going to choose you. They're going to choose their best friend, their coworker, their sister, someone in their immediate family that they're going to share this information with. And so our hope and our goal in tonight's conversation is that you should, one, you share the information with your friends and your family so that they know that you can reclaim orgasms after sexual trauma. But we normalize the conversation because we understand even this is a little bit uncomfortable for some people, and we recognize this may be triggering. And our goal is not to replace therapy, but to educate you in this process. And so we're going to go ahead and start the conversation. But that's why we're having this really important conversation. This is conversations we work with clients all the time. And so it needs to be a broader conversation so that we are normalizing it and it's not something so uncomfortable to us, right? Because we cannot heal unless we acknowledge that pain exists. And so that's really our goal and purpose here. All right. So, Crescence, how do women present in your offices that are experiencing this issue?
Well, I just want to remind everybody too, Dr. Radisha, before we even get started, that this conversation is not a substitute for therapy services. This is just informational purposes. If you are somebody that is struggling in your life, please make sure that you reach out for help. This is not a substitute for therapy services. I just want to say that again. So a lot of the women that I see that struggle with sexual trauma, they present a lot of different ways. A lot of the college age students that I see, their response to the sexual trauma is over sexualization and a lot of experimentation. So if this is a heterosexual female, I see a lot of acting out in a homosexual way, which a lot of them will say it is experimenting. When there's nothing wrong with experimenting, but it goes to the point where it's almost addictive like behavior and trying to stay so
Mhm.
far away from the same gender of the person that has assaulted them that they have this experimental behavior that's addictive that kind of spirals out of control. Sometimes drugs become involved. There's a lot more partying, a lot more risky behavior, and the acting out, the promiscuous behaviors are so fluent in that age range that I see.
Right.
Can it happen to other people? Absolutely. But with college age women, I'm seeing a lot of experimentation and a lot of risky behavior when it comes to sexual trauma.
Right. And that's so important. And you bring up a very good point that we need to recognize sometimes when after we've experienced sexual trauma, we want to run away from it. We want to go in the exact opposite way because we've now associated that trauma with that person and that sex, that gender, which is why this conversation is so important. Shuntoya, what are you experiencing with your clients that have experienced sexual trauma?
So it's kind of the complete opposite of what Kresence explained, because it's
Mhm.
always two spectrums
Right.
when you talk about sexual trauma and how it impacts you. So based on what I research and personal accounts and also just blogs, I mean, it's just so much information out here. I am noticing women are talking about, libido, low sexual drive. It's called hyposexual. So, like I said, you have hypersexual, then now you have hyposexual. And so,
Mhm.
with society and how we have started to talk, frankly, about sexual identity, expressing yourself, now there is a group of women who are not comfortable when it comes to talking about, their sexual desires and what pleases them. It's very uncomfortable for them, and it also shows up in their relationships. So you will see as far as disassociation when it comes to
Right.
feelings. So when someone kind of get the cues from their partner that, hey, I'm interested in, an intimate act, well, that person may start to have, the opposite feelings. Sometimes it could be anxiety, fear, emotionless. And so that can cause a lot of strain on a relationship, because unfortunately, that person doesn't understand why their partner is not as connected. And so, that creates a lot of strain, a lot of tension. And unfortunately, the person is not being vocal about the hyposexual. They don't understand why. They're
Right.
still trying to figure out themselves. So it's kind of helping that person understand the importance of talking about it. But they just don't have that voice to do it. Also, what I've researched and found is that also with dissociations of feelings, people also experiencing disassociation of sensations. That's very important, okay? When you talk about,
Mhm.
intimacy.
Right.
So some people start to have abdominal pain. Some people have pelvic spasms, and it's all mentally, created.
Mhm.
It's based on their emotional state and mental state. So
Mhm.
again, it's a lot of things that are happening, and the person feel like they cannot control it. And I think that there is a in that person's mind, they want to connect with their partner. They want the intimacy. They want to please their partner. It's just they don't know how to do it. And
Right.
so it's just trying to deal with all those type of emotions. Could you think about that? All of those thoughts and feelings are happening at one time. You can't expect for someone to kind of try to get over it. That
Right.
takes time and it takes education. So yeah, the hyposexual is something that is being discussed. And women are starting to be a little more vocal about it. It's no more shame and embarrassment talking about, your sexual drive. Because we gotta realize, ladies, there was a point in time that those things wasn't talked out loud. In a public
Mhm.
setting. You didn't talk
Right.
about those things openly. And now, women are starting to share, and I'm seeing it, this type of information a lot on social media. And that's an outlet for some people.
Mhm. Absolutely. You guys bring up a lot of great points. And that's why I really want to have this conversation, because as I'm working with women and talking with friends and family members, so many of us have experienced sexual trauma, and understanding how do we now get pleasure in the thing that caused us pain. And so 2022 is all about us connecting with our true identities and enjoying peace and prosperity in our lives and feeling whole, and sex is a part of that, is a part of having those healthy relationships. And so, as you both mentioned, part of this journey is for us to understand that regardless of when the sexual trauma took place, it could have been last year, it could have been 45 years ago, regardless of when it happened, your body stored that incident. Right. And so now you've made a decision. Now you've met a partner and you want to engage in a healthy relationship, and maybe struggling with what that looks like. How do I now enjoy sex despite this trauma I experienced in the past? And so the immediate response for most people is to ignore it happen and to push it back of their mind, like it happened 5 years ago, it's not a big deal, that was 20 years ago, not a big deal, I'm an adult now, it's not affected my life. That's what most of our clients say coming in, like it doesn't affect me, why are we talking about this? But the reality is your body stored it, your brain has it as a part of the self-conscious, and it shows up differently. Like Kresence mentioned, sometimes it's hypersexual activity where you're experiencing lots and lots of sexual partners, maybe same sex, maybe heterosexual relationships, because you're just trying to figure out what feels good, and what the true feeling is. It good, is it bad, etc. And like Shuntoya said, sometimes people are hyposexual, meaning like I don't want to deal with it, I don't want to be touched, I don't want to touch you. And so there's a vast array of responses. So if you learn nothing tonight, please understand that there's no one size fits all when it comes to sexual trauma and our response to sexual trauma. And so if that's you, if that's a friend, understand there's no one size fits all. And having a good experience, having orgasms as a part of your sexual experience can feel far reaching if you've experienced trauma. And that's what we want to really talk about tonight, so that we can enjoy sex again. We can enjoy a healthy relationship with our partners after we've experienced sexual trauma, as both of the ladies have mentioned. And so I guess what we're going to start with now is what's a good place to start? Because you may be thinking, hey, that was me. I experienced sexual trauma. Maybe I'm hypo, like Shuntoya mentioned, and I don't want my partner touching me at all. How do I get beyond that? Shuntoya, where should they start in their healing journey?
Well, I think what's important, Dr. Radisha, is awareness. And this is something that I truly believe in. I can't address an issue until I'm aware. Right. And I see the impact, the visible impact that is having on me as an individual, as well as my partner. So first, that's important, is the awareness. And having that dialogue and being honest, saying, okay, I'm comparing myself to other women, and I hear women who are finding pleasure in, in intimacy, in sexual activity, but I'm not. So there's something different here. And so I think that's the key is awareness.
Kresence, how do you help clients kind of start the healing journey?
In addition to what Shuntoya was saying, awareness, acknowledge and address, right? You need to acknowledge that this happened, because if you sit here and say, oh, when I was 5 years old, it happened and it's not impacting me, but I'm seeing some of these behaviors that are results of sexual trauma, we have to acknowledge it and we have to address it, right? We have to admit that it happened. Right. Not saying you are calling out the person that was the perpetrator, but having that conversation with yourself and then addressing whatever feelings you're having behind it. You may say, I don't have any feelings at all. Usually that's not true. Those are, again, probably dissociated, right? You dissociated for those feelings, addressing and acknowledging those feelings. And then for some of my clients, the ones that feel like they have to continue this hypersexuality, this hypersexual behavior, slowing down, because it's almost like you're addicted, right? So looking at it from an addictive lens, how can we pull you away from this and not pull you away in the sense of cold turkey, we just stop a behavior, because a behavior doesn't automatically become extinct. We want to replace it with something that's a little bit more appropriate. So what does that look like? Maybe instead of having multiple partners, maybe you have one or two select partners, and maybe you start to have more conversations about, the actual act of having sex, because you're just going about it and doing it, but you're not having any kind of conversation, any kind of intimacy. You're not really talking about what feels good, what doesn't feel good. It's just, I'm in there, I'm having an act, I'm having attention, and that's it. Let's break it down and talk about the act of it, how it makes you feel, and how you want it to make you feel. Are you feeling good? Are you feeling bad? Because you may not even realize that you may be doing this habitual behavior and it's not serving you, and you don't really enjoy this person. You don't really like this person. So kind of slowing down the brain and looking at it from a different lens.
Right. Absolutely. That's right on point. And I would add to it, take action. Listen, sis, there is no shame in trauma we experienced. Those were moments when we were powerless and it wasn't our fault, right? But we take on this level of shame and embarrassment and in this position of, hey, it happened, there's nothing I can do. Yes, there is. You can take back your power by taking action, right? And so that action can include scheduling an appointment with one of these therapists, getting a coach, really just talking to a psychiatrist, talking to someone about what you experienced, that someone that can help you medically process what happened in a real way. Because even though we're all therapists, we can't therapize ourselves, right? We get that all the time. You just do therapy to yourself. No, it doesn't work that way. We don't have the brain doesn't work that way in terms of healing. We need outside influence. We need outside processing outside of ourselves to be able to release things that we've had stored. So it's important that you get help, take action. You do not have to be in sexual relationships and not enjoy orgasms. That's a good portion of why we are in sexual relationships, to have the good time, to feel the feeling, to feel the connection, to feel that excitement in our lives. And remember, this year is about us reconnecting with ourselves, finding our desires, learning about our true selves and our true identities, and orgasms are part of that journey. And so if this sounds like you, or if it sounds like somebody you know, encourage them to engage in services, because you deserve to feel whole. You deserve to feel happy. You deserve to release the guilt, the shame, the pain associated with something that was not your fault, right? And so it is really important that you understand your value, your importance in this journey. You can check out our website at hellohealing.live. It has a link to all of us. You can follow up with any one of us if you're interested in services. Veronica Cooper, you mentioned sometimes that the person who experienced the trauma takes the role of the perpetrator, same as being bullied. And you're absolutely right, Veronica. Thank you for that comment. That's exactly what happens. We mimic what we experienced. And so sometimes that happens. What do you say about that, Cresence?
I definitely see that happening, unfortunately, quite often, especially when it's child to child.
Right.
A child doesn't just learn this behavior out of nowhere. This child has either seen it or it's happened to them, and then they're reenacting it on somebody else. Research does show that lots of times somebody that is a perpetrator is somebody that has been a victim as well. And I even hear people now in our field changing the terminology when it comes to children. They don't call the children perpetrators. We call them victims if assaulting another victim, because the child was a victim. So at some point somewhere it happened to that child, or they witnessed it, and now they're acting out what they have seen, similar to bullying as well. But I also wanted to add too, Dr. Radisha, that when we're healing from things like that, we have to take our mindset and change the narrative from a victim to a survivor standpoint, right? So we can take back that control. Acknowledge the things that you did to survive. Acknowledge the things that you did right. No longer blaming yourself for anything. Changing it from a victim to a survivor standpoint, so that we take away the shame and the guilt what happened, because it's not your fault, no matter what anybody tells you. It doesn't matter what you had on, what you didn't have on. You were violated, period, point blank.
Right. Absolutely. And you're right. Changing the narrative, changing the framework will definitely help your position and how you heal in this journey. and really taking back the power that was taken away from you during the event, right? And so that's what this process that we call healing journey is all about, is just changing how you think about the issue that you're facing and the trauma you face. Shuntoya, how can or where should they start in terms of healing once they've decided, hey, this is the time I'm ready to experience orgasms again? How do they start the process of getting of reclaiming their orgasm?
I still believe in, going through the steps, talking with your, gynecologist, first sharing, hey, I've been having some issues here when it comes to intimacy, whether it's hyposexual or hypersexual. And, I want to make sure, I want to rule out any medical issue that could be contributed to this first.
Right.
So I think that's very important to have that type of conversation. Also have your partner involved. So now your partner won't take on all this guilt and shame and embarrassment, because then they may start to internalize that your response. So I think that's important. Have your partner along with you so they can understand and be familiar, and also with the terms that are being used. I think that's critical too. Therapy is also important, as you had already mentioned, Dr. Radisha. So having a therapist who specializes in this area. So this is going to be very important too, because we all have our own areas of specialty, but it will be important to connect with a therapist who have worked with women and men, because we can't, exclude them out of the conversation, that are experiencing these types of, intimacy issues. So I think those two are very important things that a person, if they want, like you said, reclaim themselves, who they are, have a healthy relationship, then those two items need to be addressed.
Absolutely. Crescence, what do you say?
Again, going back, you reclaim by changing the narrative to the story. And also, too, like Shuntoya said, going to see the OBGYN, right? Having conversations. If you feel like you're, engaging in sex and you're not having an orgasm, something's not right, go into a medical professional in addition to going to therapy. But
Right.
again, backing up what Shuntoya said, a licensed professional counselor or a licensed social worker that is trained in dealing with sexual trauma, because everybody has their own niche. Some of us work with anxiety, some of us work with depression. And yeah, that's a part of it sometimes too when you have trauma, especially sexual trauma, but you want to make sure you have somebody that is completely focused on that. If I'm having issues down there, I'm not going to go see the chiropractor. I'm going to go to the OBGYN. So you need to go to that person who specializes in that. That is one of the first things. Going to see your OBGYN, having a conversation about, is something going on down there from a physiological standpoint, what's happening, and having a therapist as well.
Absolutely. Two really great, important points. One, seeing a medical doctor to get medically diagnosed, because sometimes there are medical issues that need to be addressed, but certainly in the process, seeing a licensed therapist that specializes in your particular type trauma or the specific issue that you're experiencing is really important. I also tell my clients that you can't expect your partner to know what it is that feels good to you. It's important that you experience self-pleasuring so that you know the areas in which feel good to you, so then you can communicate that with your partner, right? So it's like giving them a roadmap to finding the treasure, right? If the orgasm is a treasure, we got to give them the roadmap. But we got to understand the roads ourselves, right? And so we have to be able to explore our own bodies, which we're never taught to do. We have to be able to recognize what areas of the body are pleasing to us and what areas of the body are not so pleasing, and exploring these things on our own so that we can share them with our partner, right? And so I think the more comfortable we become with our own body and being in our own skin and exploring our own physicality and what feels good and what doesn't feel good, the more equipped we are to be able to share that with our partners, for sure. And so Dr. Denny Du Bois said, how do you motivate someone who has experienced sexual abuse as a child without feeling like you're making them relive the trauma? That's a great question. Thank you, Dr. for sharing that. Thank you. Crescence, you want to take that?
Oh, you're going to give me the hard question. How do you motivate someone? You know, the word motivate, I almost feel like it feels like you're pushing them. So I say walk with them. Don't motivate them in the sense of pushing them because you think it's right. You walk with them and ask them, how can I walk with you in this journey and what do you need from me? Because sometimes as licensed professionals, I see Dr. Denny, your doctor, you have your MSW, LCSW. Sometimes our own agenda can take the place of what the client really wants, right? We're the GPS. If you tell me you want to go to Vegas, then I'm going to tell you, you got to turn right to go to Vegas. And if you're turning left, I'm going to remind you, hey, you're supposed to go this way to go to Vegas. How can I support you in your journey? What do you need? How can I motivate you? Do you need to be motivated? What are you looking for right now? I think that's the biggest thing, having a conversation. What do you need from me? Do you want to be motivated? Do you need to be supported? When this person calls you, do you want me to listen or do you want me to respond? Having those upfront conversations and asking people specifically, what do you need and how do I support you in all of this?
Right. Absolutely. Shuntoya, you want to comment on that as well?
Kresence did an awesome job with what she said, her approach, and I agree what she says. I wholeheartedly believe in this term, this concept, meet people where they are. And, that is so important. So it's like, I may feel that you should be further along, but who am I to suggest that? So I'm going to meet my person or the client that I'm treating where they are, and then help them to understand what, like you said, Dr. Radisha, what feels good? What touches, what smells don't trigger me. Because sometimes, if it's forced or I feel pushed or if I'm under a lot of stress and, someone is continuing to, constantly ask or beg or insinuate, sometimes that can make a person feel uneasy. So it's like, it's really about meeting that person where they are and say, okay, what are some of your goals when it comes to, changing this, and becoming more accepting, of, your needs and wants when it comes to sexuality. So it's again, it's about meeting the person where they are. And so some people may not be ready to go, more than just a kiss, but to me, that's progress. And so that's why I tell anyone that I work with.
You right on point with that, Shuntoya. And Dr. Denny, thank you for that question. It's really important as clinicians that we recognize we're co-passengers in the car, right? So our clients are in the driver's seat. I'm never driving the car. I'm never determining where we're going. I'm riding along with them in the car. And so if they're not ready to really process that, really to acknowledge that, then I'm just riding with them wherever they are and wherever they decide we're going to go. And that's where I go. Right. And so I just remind them when they're ready to make a left turn, I'm there to support them in that journey. And so sometimes as clinicians, we know where we need to be able to get for the client to heal. Right. And this thing is connected to what's happening right now. But most people don't see the pathway, right? We are skilled and trained to look at a higher level and to see the connections that most people don't see in their own lives. That's why they come to us. But with that, there's also our responsibility to pull back and to remind ourselves that we can only go at the pace in which the client is willing to go. So if it takes you 2 years before you're ready to make that left turn, so we can talk about that thing that you spent the last 30 years running from, then that's okay, right? Because I'm in the passenger side. I'm only there as a co-pilot to wherever you decide we're going to go. And so however far we go, or if we don't go anywhere, that's still okay, because that is your journey. And so we don't measure journeys or compare journeys because we're all on our individual journey. And so it's important that we remember and remind ourselves in this process. But we so appreciate your comments, and I want to encourage folks, if you have comments, questions, drop them below. We are here. Listen, there's no other place where you have access to 3 licensed clinicians combined. We have somewhere near almost 50 years of experience doing what we do, right? We all look good though, because black don't crack. We getting it to y'all. All right. But if you have a question, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Diddy. Okay, you're welcome, sir. You are welcome. So put the comments below and we'll get it popping. All right. So thank you guys for that conversation, us giving those tips. And so you guys really write them down, share them. If you learned something tonight, share it on your pages, share it, because it's so important, because I am my sister's keeper. And so if we don't talk about it together collectively, then our sister will stay in struggle in quiet and suffer in silence, all the while we thinking they fine. So the more we normalize the conversation, the easier the healing journey becomes for all of us, really, for all of us. And so thank you guys for sharing in that discussion. We're going to turn the tables a little bit, and we're going to spotlight our businesswoman, our sponsor tonight. We are so grateful for her. Her name is Jenny Abraham out of Aiken, South Carolina. Listen, she is here to provide all your real estate needs. If you are in Georgia or South Carolina, give Jenny a call, because she will hook you up. She will tell you where the good deals are. We remember 2022 is all about upgrading our lives and finding out our true self. So if your true self, new self includes getting a new home, Jenny can help you out with that. So we appreciate her sponsoring this episode. And hey, if you're interested in sponsoring one of our upcoming episodes, going over to our website, hellohealing.live, and click the link to send us an email and tell us about your business and how you want to sponsor. We would love to feature you on an upcoming episode. So you guys make sure you check out Jenny and hook her up. She will hook you up to get a new house. And Aiken is one of the top cities to move in. Come on down south. We like with me and Shuntoya, we in the dirty South. We will get you hooked up. We'll treat you like family, get you some sweet tea, some fried chicken.
I don't know, Dr.
Get you
Radisha.
going.
Up north where it's at. I don't know.
What? No, we're gonna have the north versus the south. That's what we doing today, Crescents. We supposed to be showing love to the folks. We about to have north versus the south. Y'all better get it right. All right. Okay. Well, wherever you want to go eat, Jenny can hook you up with some food. So before we end the broadcast, hey, we're gonna switch gears, and we're gonna go to our Hey Therapist segment. Hey, this is your opportunity to ask us anything. If you having relationship problems, you want to ask us a question about tonight, we'll send you a link and you'll pop on the screen with us. But if you don't feel comfortable and you rather just ask us the question in the chat, you can do that as well. Listen, we are all family here. This is your opportunity to get a professional opinion about your situation or your friend's situation. And so any questions we are here to take. So come on, ask us, take advantage of this opportunity, and we are here to support you. So come on, you got a question? Come on, don't be shy, y'all. We are all family. We are all family. Just drop it in the chat if you don't feel comfortable popping up on the screen, and we will give you that give you our support. All right, Yana got a question. Thank you, sis. And your question is, how can a partner be supportive of one that has experienced sexual trauma? Ooh, that's good. That's really good. All right, Shuntoya, you want to take that?
Yes, I think first the partner needs to be aware that this person has a sexual trauma history. So that needs to be a conversation that should be shared. I say, once you realize that you want to be in a serious relationship, this type of information need to be disclosed. So first, discussing it, being comfortable enough to explore, how can I meet you? How can I make sure that what I do doesn't offend you, doesn't create any anxiety, any frustration? And also, I'm here to also wait on you, because sometimes there's a waiting period when it comes to engaging in any type of act when it comes to intimacy. So I'm going to again meet you where you are. I'm not going to be forceful. I'm going to be understanding and caring. And I'm going to listen to you and also ask for you to give me feedback on what you like, what you don't like. Exploration. I think that's important.
That's good. That's good. I couldn't have said that better. And I work with a lot of couples, and this issue comes up often. And just exactly what you said, Shuntoya. Oftentimes, it's a secret that we keep, that we feel like because we're carrying the shame, so we don't tell our partner, and so our partner doesn't understand how to best support us. They're internalizing it as rejection. She doesn't want me. He doesn't want me. I'm not attractive to them. That's why this is happening. When in fact, it has nothing to do with that. It's all related to this prior sexual trauma that I experienced. So as Shuntoya mentioned, having the conversation, putting it on the table, right? And if you can't do that alone, tagging in a professional to help you have that conversation, because your partner wants to support you, but they can't read your mind, right? And we always think people just should know, but how would they if we don't tell them? And then this process, this partnership, this relationship is important that we give them the roadmap to our heart, our mind, and our bodies. And part of that is sharing, this experience and what areas I feel comfortable with you touching and what areas don't feel so good, right? And so if they're touching areas that are making you uncomfortable, or they're asking you to do sexual positions or engage in certain aspects of sexual experiences that remind you of the trauma, that are creating triggers, then you need to say that, right? You need to tell them so they know, right? Kresence, do you want to add anything to that?
I was going to say, in addition to that, being patient with your partner, you know, sometimes when you're engaging in certain sexual acts, things may come about, right? So the person may say today one position may trigger them, and then you may be in the, in the groove doing whatever you're doing, and then you might be trying something different, and this triggers the person. So being patient with the person along the process. I love the book, The Five Love Languages by Gary Chatman.
Right.
Really understanding each other from your love languages and finding different ways to be intimate without it always having to be from a sexual level. That you can be intimate just from sitting and holding each other and watching a movie. There's tantric yoga and all these different things. So finding different ways to create intimacy with your partner if you feel like this person, or if this person is saying they're being more and more triggered and they're trying to understand things. Also, maybe bringing some toys into the experience as
Right.
well. Sometimes toys can help you explore different parts of your body and find out what feels good and what doesn't feel good, and then seeing if the partner can mimic what the toy has done. And if they can't, is the partner willing to engage in that sexual act with you with the toy?
Right. That's good. That's good. Toys can be very helpful. Thank you for that. For sure. Yana, thank you, sis. Thank you. Thank you. She's called us the dream team. We appreciate you, sis, for listening and supporting us in this journey. Thank you for your question. We encourage you guys to ask questions. Here's your opportunity. Anything and everything is on the table. This is for informational purposes and to support you in whatever struggles you're having right now in your life. Most people say, hey, I've never even met a therapist. Now you guys can say you've met 3, right? We are all 3. So listen, we are here to support you in your journey. And so we are all very passionate about helping Black women, right? We all share that in common because we recognize that as Black women, there are unique struggles that we face every day. And especially as professionals in this journey, and entrepreneurs and speakers and writers and all the things in which we do. And it's important for us to have those conversations so that we heal and we recognize we are all struggling together. There's nobody immune to stressors that we're facing in today's society, where everything's just moving really fast and we're just trying to keep up, and being a wife, a mom, a sister, a cousin, a church member, and all these other responsibilities that we feel has been pushed on our shoulders, and trying to find ourselves in the process, right? And so understand that we are all trying to figure it out together. And so that's why we're here to support you. And we appreciate you guys supporting us and listening and your comments and questions. Certainly, we want you to know that, no matter what struggles or obstacles you faced in your life, it is never too late to heal. That's why I named the show Hello Healing, because I want us to welcome in healing into our lives, no matter what age you are, no matter how many, whatever you've experienced, right? And so it is important that you understand your value and your worth, because God only made one of you for a reason, because you're unique and special, and we need you because you offer unique gifts to our society and to our sisterhood. And so we want to support you in that journey. And so thank you guys so much for joining. I want you guys to make sure you go and follow Kresence Campbell. She is Kresence, the psychotherapist, on social media, and Shuntoya Holistic Living on social media. We will drop those in the chat, or you can just go to hellohealing.live, and all of our links are there. If you have questions, if you're looking for a speaker, any one of these ladies are amazing at one of your speaking events. Kresence has an amazing book called Balance, and talking to you about self-care. She's a self-care advocate and the host of Self-Care Warrior podcast. So go on and check that out. You want to check that out. Listen, you know what, Kresence, what we want to do today for our very first podcast, Shuntoya, what we want to do? I'm feeling generous right now. You know, we didn't talk about it. You know, God just be whispering in my ear, just be distracting me when I'm trying to, I'm like, okay, well, I guess we giving away something tonight. So we didn't talk about it, y'all. So this is really, so if they looking at me strange, just because they had no idea we were getting with something.
You need to share these whispers, Dr. Radisha.
So I just keep coming up with stuff. So hey Ponsier, we appreciate you watching, girl. So Ayana, sis, listen, for your great question, we're gonna give you a little something tonight. How about that? We want to show you some love from us to you. So we are going to give you a couple of things, and I'm just throwing it out. You know, I don't know. I have to check with Kresence over here. Want to see if she want to give one of her wonderful self-care books. I was kind of thinking about.
I felt where you were going. I'm following you, and I would absolutely love to give away a free copy. I'm actually in the process of redoing the book. It's going to be Balance 2.0, going to be releasing soon. I added some more stuff in there. So right now, we don't have any available. By the end of the month, we should. It's going to be the new updated version 2.0. So many things that I have personally learned over the last year with my own healing journey, and I added some important elements in there. So most definitely, yes, of course.
All right, and I will meet you with that, and we're going to also give away Girl Get Off the Couch. Okay, so Iyana, make sure you we are going to send you a message in your DM. Make sure you give us your address, so we can send you your free copies of Girl Get Off the Couch, which is my best-selling book, available on Amazon, and Kresence Balance book. You will receive that. We appreciate you commenting and supporting us. And so we hope you enjoy it, sis, because you're special, you're worthy, and we appreciate you for joining us tonight. All right, so that is a wrap. That's our time, ladies. Thank you so much. Please, please, please like and share the broadcast so we can keep bringing it to you. Listen, it is so rare to find 3 therapists having this conversation, because most therapists are jam-packed right now with lots and lots of clients, but we all work very passionate of trying to help Black women in different ways, and using our voice and are using our skills in this form to help you on your journey. So we appreciate you. We appreciate the love, the comments. And if there's a specific issue you want to make sure we talk about in upcoming episodes, make sure you post it below, right? So nothing is going to be off topic. We're going to be talking about dating. We're going to be talking about divorce. We're going to be talking about social media. We're going to be talking about suicide. I mean, when I say everything, we're going to be talking about everything. So if there's something near and dear to your heart, something you've been talking about with your family, and you would love to have us discuss it, then definitely drop it below, comment below, and we will make sure we talk about it in an upcoming episode. So apparently, Ayana, it's your birthday coming up next Wednesday. I didn't even know that. So see how God worked. And listen, you already getting early birthday presents, right? 2 books coming in the mail. Happy birthday to you. We appreciate you, and we hope you have an amazing day. We also put in the comments the National Sexual Abuse Hotline, which is 1-800-656-HOPE. And so that hotline is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And so if you or if you know somebody experiencing sexual trauma and needing to connect with someone then definitely take advantage of that. We also want to give a shout out to Natalie Super, who is our producer. She is the person commenting as we're talking. If you're wondering, she is super amazing, and we are really happy to have her. She is a future therapist, so watch out. I'm so excited to have her as a part of the team. And so this is an all-girl, all-black crew, y'all. Listen, this is how we do it, right? And so we're excited about it, and we appreciate you guys being a part of it. And Shuntoya, I'm gonna let you close it out, girl. What you want to tell the people?
First, I'm just so happy to be in this position. Never in my wildest dream would I say I would be a therapist, because I'm the first therapist in my family, right? Never knew.
Mm-hmm.
And so to be in this position, to be working with you amazing women, it is an honor and it's a pleasure, and it's also a blessing. And so one thing I said at earlier this year, God, I want you to blow my mind. Okay. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And let me tell you, he's already started allowing me to be on this platform with these intelligent women. So I was just excited. And I just tell people, don't give up. No matter the struggles that you face, the trials, the tribulation, there is something greater. There's something greater for you, but you must wait for it. It will come. I have a personal testimony, okay? And we'll be writing my book soon.
Mm-hmm.
So definitely, let me tell you, God can still use you. He sure can.
Girl, you give me chills. That's why this podcast is where self-care, therapy, and faith meet, because we need all three. And I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you, sis, for that message. And thank you, ladies. We hope you join us next Thursday at 9 p.m. at Hello Healing Live. Thank you so much for joining us. Take care and blessings to you.
Wait, Dr. Radisha, we didn't mention my podcast, Self-Care Warrior Podcast. An episode with Dr. Radisha and myself will be dropping tomorrow on my YouTube channel. We're talking about healing after the breakup. So if you want to take a listen, it's a very, very good conversation. Not just saying because I was involved, but it was amazing. Follow me on Instagram, Kresence the Psychotherapist. If you click on the link, you'll see the link if you click on the link in my bio, you will see the link for my YouTube channel. You will see Dr. Radisha and my podcast episode, Self-Care Warrior Podcast, coming to all major podcast platforms very, very soon. But it was an amazing, amazing topic. She talks about how do you heal after a breakup? Yes, it's February. Yes, it's love month. Everybody's not in love. Some people, this is triggering for them because they maybe lost love or lost somebody that was a loved one, maybe a family member. So let's talk about the other side of it. What does it look like and how do we do this? And of course, the amazing Dr. Radisha gives all the tips and tools on how to do so. So check us out, please.
Check us out, Self-Care Warriors. Yes, check that out on YouTube. And again, we have all the links in hellohealing.live webpage. Go to there, hellohealing.live, and it will link you to all of our pages. It will link you to the books. It will link you to the Self-Care Warrior YouTube channel. And we so appreciate you guys. We love you, and we hope to see you next Thursday at 9 p.m. Till next time. Bye, y'all.
Good night, guys.